All right, awesome. Well, thanks to Dan and thanks to Ashley for those great presentations. Dan, that was when we left. Well, that was awesome. Well, I think that's something really cool. So, love the showroom, love how everything works, and I'm a big supporter of that. Definitely be looking into it soon. So I'm Kevin Albrecht. I'm from NewGen Consultants, and it is my job today to teach you guys about search engine optimization and why your business needs it. And before I get started, I just want to preface this by saying I did just have surgery on Monday, so if I do collapse, please do call an ambulance. So, quick agenda. I'm going to tell you a little bit of background information about who NewGen is. We're going to talk about how search engines actually work. I'm going to tell you what SEO actually is, and we're going to dive into two of the main components of SEO, which is what's happening on your page and what's happening off your page. And I'll describe that as we get into the presentation. So, who is NewGen? Founded back in January 2012 with myself and Brian Lofomento. And what we are is we are an SEO agency. And what that means is that we help grow the businesses of our clients by bringing them more leads and customers from online sources. And the main online source that we use are search engines. So let's talk about the search engine landscape a little bit, just so we can kind of wrap our heads around what's happening out there. So the biggest player, which I'm sure you all kind of know instinctively, is Google. And Google gets 67% of the search traffic on the internet. That means almost 7 out of every 10 people doing a search right now are using Google instead of their other competitors. So a lot of times tonight you're going to hear me refer to Google, and that's because Google's who we're really optimizing towards. Google's really where the audience is. And actually Bing has gone on and actually said that they model everything after Google. So that's why you're going to hear me reference them a lot tonight. Just to break it up and show the other players, we have Bing, which has 60% of the search traffic. Yahoo has 12%, and then the other small timers like Ask.com and the other smaller search engines make up for us. I'm sorry.
Google Daddy?
Oh, he's right there.
In the other, yes.
Yes.
Stand out.
Yeah, very small. People don't really use those kind of search engines really anymore. And just a fun fact, the Bing search engine algorithm actually controls the Yahoo search engine algorithm. They have a deal where they work in collaboration. So if you're using Bing or Yahoo, you're going to get basically the same results. So just a fun fact. So I want to break down a search engine result page just to kind of demonstrate and get some key terms out what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So I went online and I did a search for Seattle real estate and took a screenshot. And you can see 3 different distinct results here. You can see this box up here in the tan. You can see this results down here on the side, and the results even below right here. So these are the paid results right here. And what that means is that people are going on and using something called Google AdWords, and they're bidding to be on top here. So you're actually paying to have your link show up here, have your website show up right here and right here. And the more money you're willing to pay Google, the higher you're going to get on there. And so, just to give you guys an example of how that works, if you wanted to show up for Seattle real estate with using a paid ad, it would cost you $2.50 every time someone clicked this website. So if you Googled Seattle real estate right now and clicked on the MLSonline.com, you would cost that website $2.50. So you're essentially paying for a lead. Anyone shoot a guess on what the most expensive keyword in the world is?
What?
It's mesothelioma lawyer. It costs $150 a click. So if you go on right now, Google that keyword, and click everyone on there, you're going to cost them thousands of dollars. So that's how Google AdWords works. And right down here, what I've left out is the organic results. And that's when everyone says, hey, I got to be #1 on Google. This is what they're talking about, showing up organically. Google is going in and displaying the best results. And the reason why organic is very important is because while these paid ads only get 25% of all the clicks on this page, these organic results are getting 75% of all the clicks. So that means 3/4 of all people coming to your search engine result page are focusing on this part, the organic part. And there's a number of different reasons for that, and it is good to utilize both organic and paid, but what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to show up here on these organic results. And I'm going to show you why this is even more valuable. So just talked about being #1 on Google. What's the actual value of being #1? How many people are actually going to drive to your site if you're ranked #1? So if you're 5th, you're going to get 6.1% of the clicks coming in for a search term. If you're 4th, you're going to get 7.9%. If you're third, you're going to get 9.5%. So you can see it's jumping up and jumping up. If you're second, it jumps up again to 12.5%. Now here's where it makes a big difference. If you're first, you're getting 36.4% of all the clicks on that page. That's huge. That means if you're ranked first, you're getting 3 times the amount of traffic to your website that the second ranked site is getting. So it's incredibly valuable to be ranked first for search terms that are relevant to your business.
And that's if it's organic?
And that's strictly organic. That's not counting the paid results at all. We're just going to focus on the organic stuff today.
So typically how many of the first couple of listings is paid versus organic? Where does the organic start?
So you can see again right here. In this tan box, they'll do 2, sometimes 3.
It's always 10?
Yep, it's always 10. It actually says sponsored right here, and sponsored links right here.
Okay.
Which is probably the reason a lot of people don't click it, because they know it's an ad. But it's never more than 3. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's none. And that's where you can tell the difference. It's in this tan box, which is, they change the color all the time, they're trying to trick us. And then down here on the side,
It says
this
sponsored,
divider.
yeah.
But it always will say sponsored. And then this is the organic.
Okay.
So, how do search engines actually work? I think it's important to tell you guys what's happening behind the scenes so you can understand what's going to happen and how it's going to actually spit out the results. So what a search engine actually does, every day Google's going to send out millions of bots called spiders. And they call spiders because they crawl the internet. And how they do that is they land on a page, they read all the information on a page until they get to a link. And then they're going to follow that link. It's going to read the information, get to a link to another website or another page on that website, follow that link, read all the information on that page. And what it's doing while it's reading this information is it's categorizing it all. It's indexing it and it's putting it all into a giant database. And that's Google's database. And then from there, all this information it has, it decides the rankings where people are going to show up on a search engine result page based on the secret algorithm, which we know a lot about, but Google is still changing all the time. It's a very secretive kind of thing, and it's really what's determining where you are showing up on the rankings. So just an example of how spiders work. Let's say this is where the spider starts, on this red website here, and it's going to come out, it's going to crawl this page, it's going to get to a link, and it's going to land on this yellow site. So it's found this link, it's crawling this page, and it finds a couple more links. So it zooms over to this blue site. And it just keeps crawling and crawling and crawling and crawling and crawling all day long. So you can already see how important it is to link to other sites, have other sites linking to you. Because that's how Google finds you. So if you're this guy out here, well, you might never get found. And a lot of people don't know that just because you have a website, that doesn't mean you're on Google. Google is indexing you and putting you into a giant database. But if Google never crawls your site, if Google never happens to land on a link that goes to your site, then they're never going to find you, and you're never going to show up for any searches on Google. You might never get found. So let's talk about the algorithm a little bit. It's got over 200 different variables, and these are both on-page and off-page, so stuff that's happening in your code as well as links to your site, and we're going to get into that a little bit more later, but over 200 different variables, all accounting to make up where you're going to show up in the rankings. It's updated over 500 times a year, so that means it's probably been updated twice today. They're constantly changing it because Google is smart. Google does not want people manipulating the search engine so they can show up first. They're doing everything in their power to give websites in their search results that A, give people the best user experience, and B, are the most relevant results to their searches. So once someone clicks on a page, they're good. And PageRank is the biggest determinator of where your site is going to show up on Google. And what PageRank is it's a score that Google assigns your site based on the algorithm. So it's a score of 0 through 10, and it's logarithmic. So that means it's 10 times harder to get from a PageRank of 1, to get from a PageRank of 2 to 3, than it is to get from a PageRank of 1 to 2. So the biggest determinator of PageRank is links. You're going to hear me say this a lot tonight. That's why I put it 3 times here. The more links you have pointing to your site, the higher your page rank is going to be, the higher your website is going to show up on Google search engine result pages. So I'm going to read from my slide really quick tonight. I promise I won't do any more reading. This is the only time, but I'm going to read directly from this just for the emphasis point. So what is search engine optimization? Search engine optimization is the art of getting a website to rank higher in organic search engine result pages, thus increasing click-throughs to that website. And how we view SEO is it drives traffic to your website. It's the whole point of SEO is to get you ranking higher so more customers land on your site. So you can close more deals, you can become more visible. And the way we like to put it is your website should be a sales vehicle for your business. And what it is, it's going to be the only employee that you ever have that is working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So that's why SEO is so important, because you want that employee working at full steam all the time, being extremely productive and efficient. Okay, and there are 4 main pieces of SEO. So the 4 things we're going to talk about just to kind of explain it and break it down a little bit more. The first part is that technical area. So all that code, title tags, meta tags, robots.txt, all that really complicated stuff. That is when Google searches your page that Google can see, but you as a user will not see. So very important. The next part is content. So Google is not going to bring up a site that has bad content. It's not going to bring someone to a site there's nothing there. And that content has to be relative and related to whatever the search was. So for an example, if I search for electrical services, and in the pages that come up, we'll have that term electrical services in there, because it's got to be relevant. Content's got to be good and relevant. The next part is targeted keywords. Kind of like just what I said, if I search for electrical services, you want your page, if you want to show up for that keyword, electrical services, when people are searching for it, then you want electrical services to be in your page. You want it to be kind of everywhere, but you don't want to overload it. And we're going to get into kind of that balance a little bit later. And the last part, I've already said it, I'm going to say it again. Links. So you got it. Links are crucial. And we're talking about links pointing at your website from other websites. And there is a graphic we love to use in the SEO world to demonstrate what exactly SEO is and the best way to do it. And we call it the SEO pyramid because it is a bottom-up approach. You're going to start from the bottom, tackle what you can tackle, and then move up from there. And the bottom of that is the accessible quality content. So this is right in conjunction with what Ashley was talking about, blogging. You're an expert on your field. You can talk about what you know. Get out there and write about it. All your pages should have lots of good quality copy, lots of great images. It should be very engaging, because the search engines know when it's engaging. They're very smart. The next up is keyword targeting. So a keyword is, I've said that phrase a couple times. You guys all familiar with what that means? So when someone's typing into Google, whatever they're typing in, that's the keyword. It could be 1 word, it could be 10 words, whatever it is they're typing in. So you want to make sure that you're targeting the right keywords for your business. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. And the third part is link building. So incredibly crucial, already said it a couple times. Links are really what's going to drive you up towards the top. But before you have links, you got to make sure you have the right content and you're targeting the right keywords. And that's why it's a bottom-up approach. And finally, you had social media, which is what Ashley talked about today. That's going to really be the last piece that helps drive even more people to your website. Using social media and SEO in conjunction is really going to make you successful. So before I mentioned on-page and off-page, and on-page is what's happening on your website, and off-page is what's happening off your website. So on-page actually makes up 30% of what Google weights when they're ranking your site. So they're looking at your title tags, your content, everything there, and they're only weighting that about 30%. Now I say that it's 30% and technical stuff, the content, but it is important again to have all that stuff correct. It has to be accurate for what your business is offering and what your website is portraying. But the remaining 70% is off-page. And this is incredibly important because why is it off-page? It's the links, it's the anchor text pointing to your links, we'll get into that a little bit later, and social media. Because why do you think Google weights this so importantly over this stuff? Any guesses? It's because it's seeing how credible you are in the eyes of the rest of the internet. For example, if CNN.com links to NewGenConsultants.com, CNN is an awesome website. Google knows that. Google says, wow, if CNN.com is going to link to NewGen, NewGen must be an awesome website too. So you've instantly made yourself more credible by how others see you. And that goes again hand in hand with social media, because people are actually out there giving you reviews, talking to your company. So the more people talk to your company, the more legitimate your company must be, the higher then Google can rank you in the search engines. So let's dive into on-page just a little bit. I'm going to run through these really quickly, a lot of examples here. What you can actually do and what you need to be focusing on your website. So the first one is a sitemap. A sitemap is just a list of pages that you submit to Google, Bing, Yahoo, the main search engines. And it just tells Google what pages you have on your website and what is the order of importance. So your home page is most important, your services page is second most important. It's a listing of your pages and how important they are, and the benefit is you do it every week. It shows Google that you're updating your site, you're staying fresh. The next three: title tag, meta description, header tags. I'm going to get into those on the next slide. Next we have keyword density. So what that means is if Eric wants to target a keyword, electrical contracting, he wants to have that keyword in his page about 2 to 3%. So out of every 100 words, that keyword electrical contracting should be in there 2 to 3 times. And that's keyword density. Google suggests that you should have it about 2 to 3%, so that's what you really want to go for. You always want to be doing fresh, updated content. Google knows when a website is successful and relevant because it's constantly updating itself, because it's always providing new, fresh, inspiring content to its readers. And this goes hand in hand with what Ashley was talking about earlier, which is blogging. Blogging is an awesome opportunity to be showing Google that you're fresh, that you're updating, and that you are a legitimate site who's always on the go and very interesting to its readers. This right column is a little more of the technical stuff, but it's all very important and a lot more relative to some of Google's most recent updates, Panda and Penguin, which had to do with kind of user experience type things. So having a fast loading website is very important. Have you guys ever clicked on a website from Google and it just takes forever to load and the little circles just spinning and spinning and spinning? Well, Google says, all right, we don't want any sites like that ever being shown again. So we're going to take that into account and we're going to rank those sites lower so that they don't show up. The next one is mobile accessibility. Another problem you have if a lot of people are using their smartphones. More and more people are using their smartphones to browse the internet. So if you're on your smartphone browsing the internet and you land on a site from Google and the site looks awful, it's unnavigatable on your phone, Google doesn't like that either. So they say if you don't have a mobile website and your site's not optimized for mobile phones, well, we're going to lower you in the rankings again. So another factor to consider. Next one is image alt tags. So every image actually has a piece of code right inside of it that allows you to tell Google what that image is about. So it's just another opportunity for you to show Google that you are explaining what your page is about, another opportunity for you to make sure your page shows up for relevant searches. Next is the URL structure. So what's really important here to consider is a URL should be another determinator of what that page is. Should be another describer of what that page is. So some URLs will be like newgenconsultants.com /!12! Those are bad because that's not telling the reader what that page is about. You want it to be newgenconsultants.com /services. You want to just use words instead of those crazy combinations of letters and numbers and all of that. Because again, good user experience is what Google is going for. Next we have internal links. So the reason this is important, when we say internal links, we're talking about you linking from one page in your site to another. And the reason this is important, if Google sees that you're linking all your pages together in your site, it knows that your site's easy to navigate and that people can get around and that no matter where they are, they always have another place to go. And like I said, it's all about a good user experience. That shows Google that you're offering a good user experience to your site's visitors. Finally, we have 404s, which, again, I don't know if you've ever clicked on a page to a site, landed there, and it just said, hey, 404, hey, sorry, there's nothing here, why don't you go back? Google hates that, because that is awful for the user experience, because you just promised someone that you're going to take them somewhere, and you didn't deliver. So they really don't like that. So you want to be making sure that all the 404s and errors on your pages are all fixed. I said finally, but I have another one, kind of related. It's called bounce rate. And it's a little different from the rest. The bounce rate is a statistic. And what it is it measures how many people arrive at your site and leave 3 seconds later or less. Because it says if people are doing that, then clearly they're not getting there for the right reason. And why Google thinks this is important, like you might be optimizing towards keywords, you might be showing up in search results that you're not supposed to be showing up in. So that's why it's important to minimize that bounce rate. And if you use Google Analytics, 60 to 70%, that's where you want to be. So I did talk about header tags, title tags, and meta descriptions. That's because I want to show you guys here. So a title tag is a piece of code on every web page, and it's one of the first things that a Google Spider sees when it crawls that web page. It's right at the top, and it should be the most brief synopsis of what your page is about. Google loves brief synopsises because it gives it the best opportunity to just, hey, here's what my page is in a nutshell. And that title tag is actually reflected right here on a search engine result. So I typed in Manchester United for my search term. Brian is a huge soccer fan, English football fan, I should say. Oops. And so that's why I did that. And you can see Manchester United right here. I typed it in, it's right in the title tag, it's blue, it's highlighted, so you can see Google knows that this is very related to what that search term was. Now if we dive even further, you can see that it's actually in the URL again. So another opportunity that this site has utilized to tell Google that this page is about Manchester United. So bring up this search result. And again, I talked about meta descriptions. This is what is this is what is called the meta description. It's about 165 characters of text here. And what that is, it's just another opportunity for you to tell Google, but more importantly, the readers who are seeing this search result, what this exact page is about. And again, you can see the keyword, Manchester United, is here twice, just giving that, telling Google and telling the readers that it is exactly what you're looking for. And I talked about header tags. This is an actual page from Brian's website, premiershiptalk.com. If you like English football, or soccer as I like to say, you should check out premiershiptalk.com. Great news site for the English Football League. So a header tag is just another way to describe what a page is about. And this is what we call an H1 tag. And that's the code. H1 is basically the code that describes what it is. And this header tag is telling us that this page is about this article, gig sales rotation policy. That's the main heading. That's what the page is mainly about. Then below we have what we call an H2, which is a subheading. And that's just veteran midfielder praises Ferguson team selections. That's just another way, more specific, detailed way of telling Google and what this page is about. So when you're making a page, you want to make sure that your keyword is used in your title tag, your keyword is used in your meta description, your keyword is used in your header tags on the individual page. Because that's what Google is going to look at and weight most importantly. So, kind of talked a lot about the on-page stuff, and we're getting into the keyword stuff. So, making sure you do choose the right keywords for your site is incredibly important. Because if you don't choose the right keywords, people aren't going to show up for the right reasons. And a lot of people come to us and they say, hey, I'm doing great with SEO. I'm showing up #1. And we say, what are you showing up for? And they say, hey, type in my business name. I'm first. And I say, that's awesome. Is that bringing you any new business? And the answer is always no. Because people who are typing in your name, people who are typing in Markarian Electric, they already know that Markarian Electric exists. The point of SEO is to bring new customers to your site. Is to give you new leads. So, like for instance, Markarian Electric would be branded. SEO, we're going after non-branded terms. An example of that would be electrical contracting services. That would be a non-branded keyword that someone would be typing into Google to find what Eric does. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're choosing the right keywords. The next is search volume. Actually, how many people every month are actually searching for that keyword? So very important, because you don't want to have a keyword that's only being searched 4 or 5 times a month. You want something much higher search volume. The next is broad versus long tail. And we're going to get into this a little bit more in the next slide, but it goes in collaboration with competitiveness. And the reason for that, broad keyword is something like electrical services. Millions of people a month, most likely, probably search that term. And the reason is because it's probably on tons of different websites all across the web. So it's incredibly hard to get your website to show up for such a very broad term. Now, a long tail keyword would be something like electrical contracting services in Watertown, Mass. It's very specific. And because it's very specific, you have a much easier time of showing up on that page, and especially ranking number 1 on that page. So what we do is we try and target a lot of long tail keywords, because that's really where you're going to convert. And I have this graph to kind of demonstrate that. And you can see that the top ranked keywords that get searched the most times they're about 30% of all the searches all the searches that happen each month. But 70% is long tail. So 70% of all the searches online on Google every day are for these longer, much more specific keywords. And you can see this higher competition for these because, like I said, there are so many different websites that have those specific phrases on them. So they're going to show up. So it's a lot harder to convert an actual customer from that. But these ones that are long tail are lower competitions. So there's a much higher conversion rate. And that's why we target these more broad keyword tools, keywords. And so really interesting, out of the 100 billion searches that occur on Google every month, 15 billion of them have never been searched for before. So that means every month there are 15 billion new searches on Google that have never ever shown up in Google's database before. So it just goes to show that if you're blogging, you can be blogging and going after keywords that people might not even thought of, but when they do start thinking about them, you're going to show up first. So we talked a lot about what's happening on your page and how to target the right keywords, but let's get into that most important part, and that's what's happening off your page. And again, like I said, a lot of people in real estate like to say location, location, location. In SEO, it's all about links, links, links. And another important part about links is the targeted anchor text. So what anchor text is in the 90s, every website in the world was like, hey, to view our services, click here. And that click here part would be kind of highlighted, do you know what I mean? Where you'd click that and that would be the actual link that brings you to the next page. So what Google does is it looks at these and it says, okay, well this link, page that's bringing me to is about click here. That doesn't make any sense. It wants you to tell, Google wants you to tell it what that page is about. So if instead of saying, hey, to view my services, click here, you'd say, view my services here, or view electrical contracting services here. And if electrical contracting services is that anchor text, Google knows that the next page that link is bringing you to is about electrical contracting services. So just another chance and a very important opportunity for you to tell Google what that page is about and make it rank higher in the search engines. Social media, Ashley covered brilliantly and is going to cover even more. So I'm going to leave that to her. And again, I have to say it again because it is so important. It's all about links. It's all about building those important links. But I do want to preface this before I move on to telling you guys how to build links, that not all links are created equal. So I used an example before. If CNN.com links to NewGenConsultants.com, that's a really great link. And NewGen is going to be moved up higher in the rankings because CNN.com, that's a very credible website. And they're saying that NewGen is a very credible website by linking to us. If Joe the plumber starts up his business and makes a website and links to NewGen, we're basically getting nothing from that website. It's not altering our search, that's not altering our position in the search engines at all. If anything, it could be even hurting us. And that's because every link passes something we like to call link juice. And what that means is if CNN.com, it has link juice, it has a page rank of 8 or 9 or whatever it is, and when it links to another site, it's giving that site its link juice. It's just the kind of colloquialism we like to use to talk about it. It's like a funny graphic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all about getting links not only from many different sources, but also getting links from as many high quality sources as possible, because that's really what's going to move you up in the search engine rankings. So I've got a whole bunch of different ways that you can build links on here, but I really want to talk about some of my favorites because going into all these would probably take me about 4 hours. So what I really like to do, I really like to talk about is local listings. A lot of you guys might be having local businesses, or it's important to rank locally. There's a site called getlisted.org. I highly advise you to check it out. Getlisted.org. It's owned by one of our favorite companies, SEO Moz. And what it is a website that lists about 8 different listing services. So Google Places, Yahoo Places, Bing Places, Yellow Pages. You put in your URL, you put in your zip code, and it tells you if you are listed on those local listing pages. And why that's great is because that's 8 links that you can get pointing at your site from incredibly authoritative websites. So it's basically, you're going to get those links from those places, and if you go to getlisted.org and utilize it, it's a checklist. So it's a way for you to check yourself to make sure that you are getting those links back. The next one I want to talk about are press releases. Press releases are just awesome because I'll just give you an example. Let's say NewGen just developed a new product. We wanted to tell the world about it. Do you have a question? Okay. NewGen has a new product and we wanted to tell the world about it. So we'd use a press release service. We'd write a couple paragraphs about it, and we'd launch it out through the service. What that service is going to do is it's going to release it to the thousands of news organizations in its sphere. And all these news organizations are going to publish it on their website. So in that press release, we've inserted a couple of links back to our site with targeted anchor text. And all of these news organizations, which are all pretty respectable websites, so high page rank, lots of link juice to pass, they're going to link back to our site, just naturally. And if people really like what we have to say, if people think that what we release in our press release is really great content, then people are going to pick it up, and people are going to see it. So not only do you get all the links back, and all that links that's going to help you move up in the rankings, people might actually just see that press release, come to your website that way, and contact you about the product, or about the service, or about the news that you had just released in that press release. So a twofold approach. I highly recommend checking out press releases. PR Web is a great resource to use for them if you're not familiar. That's who we like to go with. Press releases are awesome. The last one I want to talk about, guest posting. So this is how we get a lot of the links that come back to NewGen. And it's a great way, again, a twofold way to get a lot of exposure. And I know, Danny, you talked about you do that all the time. And that's awesome for a number of different reasons. Not only are you posting on someone else's website, showing your expertise, and driving people to your website from those other blogs that you're writing on, but you're also getting links back from that other blog. So how guest posting works, I know Dan's familiar with, for the rest of you, is you go onto Google and type in submit an article, submit a post, submit a guest post. Type in those kind of phrases. Websites will show up that are looking for you to write content on their site because they have a blog, but you guys know it's really hard to blog, right? They want to fill their sites with content. You want to get a link back to your site, so you write an article on their site, and in return, they'll let you link back to your site. So everybody wins. You get exposure, they get content, you get a link back to your site. That's going to help you increase the search engine rankings. So guest posting is an awesome way to build some links back to your site. So, talked about the SEO pyramid, and it's all well and great, but you have to be tracking everything, because if you're not tracking your metrics, then you're not marketing. If you don't know what's happening on your site, if you don't know who's coming, if you don't know what they're doing, then you don't really know if all the SEO work that you've been doing is being successful, if it's actually working. So I want to talk about a couple different metrics packages that you can leverage. All of these that I'm going to talk about are free, so you can install them all. And they let you see what people are doing on your site. So the first is Google Analytics. You guys have to have Google Analytics on your site. It allows you to see how many people are coming to your site, what keywords they're coming to your site for. It allows you to see things like bounce rate. It allows you to see what sites people are coming from. It allows you to set goals. So let's say you wanted to have people come to your contact page, or if the goal of your website was to have people arrive at your product page and buy a product from you, you can set a goal that says, hey Google, tell me every time someone comes and actually accomplishes that goal on my site. So it allows you to just see everything that's happening on your site statistic-wise, which is really great and really helpful. And Well, that's all well and great. It's a lot of aggregate data. So it really lets you see a big picture of what's happening on your site. The next one is Stat Counter. Another free one you can download. Stat Counter is creepier, I should say, because it lets you see more individualistically what people are doing on your site. So tonight, you're all going to go home, you're going to say, that was a cool presentation. I'm going to hop on NewGen's site and just look around and see a little bit more about them. Well, I'm going to be logging on Stat Counter, and I'm going to be able to see where you came from, what browser you used. Did you use a phone? Did you use a computer? Did you use a tablet? What else?
What your IP address is, where you physically are, anything and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Don't worry, it gets a little creepy.
It does get a little creepy. So the benefit of doing that is you can see when a user arrives at your page, what he actually did. And you can use that creatively. How we use it is we send all our proposals out, individual URLs for each client we have. And we have Stat Counter on these proposals. So you can see when someone looked at our proposal. And we can see how many times they looked at it. Did they send it to somebody else to look at? Did they look at it right before the call? So it just helps us get a little more information and knowledge as to what people are actually doing with the information we have. And like Brian said, it does get a little bit creepier, and that's what something we like to use called ClickTail. Now, Google Analytics is aggregate data. Stat Counter is a little more individualistic. ClickTail is incredibly individualistic. And what that means is you're all going to go home today, yada, 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 go on a NewGen site. Not anymore. To let you know, everyone is tracking you. But what ClickTail actually lets you see is what people are actually doing on your site visually. So it's going to provide heat maps. And the way that works is if a lot of attention is spent on this section of your site, this is going to be red. It's going to be red and hot and orange. So you know this is a very popular part of your site. If this part is dark blue and light blue, it means that not a lot of attention is being focused there. And this is beneficial because you can see and actually rotate the content on your site to make sure that the stuff that's important is in the places where people are actually looking. And even creepier than the heat map kind of stuff to see where people's clicking, where people are moving their mouse to, ClickTail will actually give you videos of people. So if you log on to NewGen tonight and you poke around, we can actually see a video of your mouse moving, of you clicking a video to watch, view of the page loading, everything. If you're on there for 5 minutes, we will see all 5 minutes of what your mouse did and what your scroll did that whole time. So this is incredibly great information for you to leverage and for you to see what people like and don't like on your website, so you can move it around and make sure that it's optimized and that people are doing exactly what you want them to do on your website. And finally, I'm just going to talk about Google Webmaster Tools. You want to have this set up on your website because for a number of different reasons. It allows you to see 404 errors. It allows you to see who's linking to you and what sites exactly are linking to you and what are those, how many times and on what pages. But most importantly, this is where you can submit a sitemap. So I mentioned sitemaps before, which are critical because it allows you to tell Google that, yes, I'm updating my content, and here are the pages that you should be ranking, and the order of importance that you should be ranking them. So that's why Google Webmaster Tools is critical to set up, easy to set up. Just go home, Google the words, Google Webmaster Tools. It's probably the easiest one you can set up out of all 4 this year. So ClickTail is really tough to demonstrate. So I kind of wanted to just give you guys a quick visual. I'm going to plug ClickTail right now. This slide is brought to you by ClickTail. So this is an actual heat map from a website. You can see that right here, incredibly red. This is where a lot of people are focusing their attention. And not only that, it's telling you the percentage of things that have been clicked. So you probably can't really see it here, but Insight from Behavior gets 12.5% of the clicks, which is 5 or 6 times more what any other things on the pages get clicked. So you can see that people love this page. So you want to have that page front and center. It's just one of the insights you can draw from something like ClickTail. So, lots of information I've just given you guys. I hope you weren't too overwhelmed. You might be thinking, where's a good place to start? I think a good place to start for all of you, or the best place to start is to get an SEO audit. And what an SEO audit is a service that we perform. It's going to give you an SEO scorecard. It's going to tell you where you stand, percentage-wise, as to what you've done good and what still needs to be done and where you can improve. It's also going to tell you the most pressing and valuable changes that you need to make today in order to start ranking better today. So incredibly important. It's going to tell you all of that technical stuff. That stuff I kind of just brushed over because it's a lot of code and all that stuff that Google can see that we can't see. It's going to give you a report on everything you're doing wrong there and everything that can be fixed, everything that can be improved. Finally, it's going to give you a complete link profile. And what a link profile is it's a collection of all the links that are pointing at your site. And this is important to know because you want to know if you're being linked to from bad sites, if you're being linked to from great sites, or if you're not being linked to at all. Which I hope you guys understand after my presentation. That's a huge problem. So we're going to let you know about, we're going to let you know about everything that's happening off your page. We're going to use all that information to give you guys a customized SEO strategy. We're going to tell you, taking all of this into account, exactly what you can do to increase your rankings and start grabbing new customers from the search engines today. So what we're offering is the first 5 people that actually book a strategy session with us from here today, where you typically have this SEO audit valued at $1,000, we're going to do it at 50% off for $500. So the first 5 people to book a strategy session with me, and in this strategy session, you can answer all the other questions you have about your website and about SEO. We can talk about any other issues you have regarding SEO. So all you have to do, hop onto this link right here. You can just whip out your smartphones and do it right now if you want. Just kevin.newgenconsultants.com. It's going to bring you to a website that allows you to book a time with me over the phone or in person. And we can have a nice little chat about SEO and everything else you guys want to talk about. All right. Thank you guys very much. Sorry, I kind of flew through that.
If you guys do have any questions, we actually have time for about 2 questions that you can throw Kevin's way.
Might not.
Yep, Bob.
Are you doing anything with marketing automation? I mean, you're tracking people coming in and what their activity is. Do you turn that into lead scoring and
I'm going to talk about that next.
I'm going to let Brian handle that one in this presentation.
Have you heard of Infusionsoft?
Hey, buddy.
I don't know. I haven't.
Hey,
Yeah?
I'm on the phone with Infusionsoft when like anybody, I mean,
Awesome.
my family, like Infusionsoft, those are my people, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Bob, we'll talk about that in this next
Computer
presentation.
background?
Any other questions? All right, so thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you
Everyone,
guys.
give a round of applause for Kevin again. So Kevin made my job very easy as well.